The story exploded across entertainment media when an exclusive report claimed that Meghan Markle had privately pressured Netflix to help repair her public image. According to the report from Radar Online, an alleged insider described tense conversations in which she demanded action to control damaging headlines. If accurate, the tone was not collaborative, but urgent, even desperate, suggesting someone who believed her reputation and possibly her future projects were at serious risk. The timing was crucial. Just weeks earlier, reports had circulated that her father, Thomas Markle Sr., had been hospitalized overseas while she was publicly promoting a holiday-themed lifestyle program centered on family, warmth, and togetherness. The contrast between those themes and the headlines created a severe public relations dilemma. Whether fair or not, perception matters more than nuance in celebrity culture, and the optics were damaging. For years, controversies surrounding the former royal had appeared in waves: interviews disputed by critics, workplace allegations from palace staff, and ongoing tensions with the royal family. Yet this situation struck a different chord because it involved family loyalty, a value audiences instinctively understand. While past disputes could be framed as institutional conflict or media distortion, a parent-child estrangement during a medical crisis was harder to explain away. It touched something personal and universal. The controversy also arrived at a vulnerable moment professionally. The lifestyle show was meant to reposition her brand, shifting public perception from divisive royal figure to relatable domestic personality. In theory, it offered a reset: cooking, entertaining, friendship, and positivity. Instead, the narrative surrounding her father overshadowed the launch, reframing the show through a lens of perceived hypocrisy. Industry observers note that public trust operates like a bank account. Positive moments deposit credibility, controversies withdraw it. When the balance gets low, even small incidents can trigger major backlash. By the time this story broke, skepticism toward her public persona had already accumulated in some audience segments, amplifying the reaction. According to the reported insider account, she hoped Netflix would use its extensive media relations to shift coverage, not just promote content, but reshape the narrative itself. The logic was simple. The company had invested heavily in projects connected to her and Prince Harry, so protecting her reputation would also protect their financial stake. However, this assumption may misunderstand how entertainment companies operate. Streaming platforms are not guardians of personal image, they are distributors of content. Their primary objective is attracting and retaining subscribers, not managing talent's family disputes. While they can amplify positive stories about shows, erasing negative headlines about private matters is far more difficult, especially in the era of social media, where information spreads beyond traditional gatekeepers. Another factor complicating matters was performance. Early projects connected to the couple generated intense interest, but subsequent releases drew more modest engagement. In the streaming world, data drives decisions. If viewership declines, enthusiasm from executives typically follows. This placed the relationship at an awkward crossroads. On one hand, the company had already invested substantial resources. On the other, continuing to invest in projects that failed to attract audiences would be hard to justify. From a business perspective, past spending is irrelevant if future returns look uncertain. Meanwhile, the father controversy fed into broader critiques about authenticity. Lifestyle branding depends heavily on emotional connection. Viewers must believe the host genuinely embodies the values being promoted. When off-screen stories contradict on-screen messaging, that connection weakens. Critics argued that the problem was not messaging, but credibility. Supporters countered that estranged family relationships are complex and often misunderstood. Regardless of where the truth lies, public opinion rarely waits for full context before forming conclusions. Another issue was relatability. Presenting domestic advice from inside a multi-million-dollar estate can feel aspirational to some viewers and alienating to others. Striking the right balance is difficult, and misjudging it can reinforce perceptions of disconnect from everyday life. Ultimately, the alleged demand for image repair highlighted a deeper tension: celebrity influence versus audience autonomy. No matter how powerful a public relations machine may be, it cannot force viewers to feel sympathy, admiration, or trust. Those reactions emerge organically over time through consistent behavior. If the insider account is accurate, the situation reflects a classic reputational crisis, one where the stakes are not only personal, but financial. Streaming partnerships depend on continued audience interest. If public sentiment turns negative enough, even large deals can quietly fade away. The controversy also underscores how modern fame works. Public figures no longer control their narratives in isolation. Every action, statement, or omission becomes part of a permanent digital record that audiences interpret collectively. Reputation now crowdsourced in real time. Whether Netflix could truly fix the situation is debatable. At best, it could spotlight new projects and positive stories, hoping success would shift attention forward. But rebuilding trust usually requires more than promotion. It requires time, transparency, and visible change. In the end, the episode illustrates the fragile nature of celebrity branding. When identity itself becomes the product, personal controversies are not separate from business. They are business. And once public perception hardens, reversing it is far harder than preventing the damage in the first place. Beyond the immediate controversy lies a broader question. What happens when image, income, and influence become tightly intertwined? For high-profile figures operating outside traditional royal structures, commercial partnerships replace institutional support. That means reputation directly affects revenue. Maintaining a luxury lifestyle requires consistent income streams: production deals, speaking engagements, brand partnerships, and publishing opportunities. When any of those weaken, pressure builds quickly. Large homes, security teams, staff salaries, and travel costs do not disappear when public interest declines. Reports of new film and television projects suggest an attempt to pivot away from personal storytelling toward mainstream entertainment. Instead of appearing as subjects of documentaries, the strategy may be to produce content that can succeed independently of their personal popularity. If audiences enjoy the story, they may overlook who produced it. This shift makes sense. Projects centered on the couple themselves depend heavily on audience goodwill. Fictional or genre content depends more on casting, writing, and marketing. It is a safer bet when public opinion is polarized. However, producing successful entertainment requires skills and networks beyond celebrity status. Development, financing, casting, and distribution are complex processes. Announcing projects is easy. Delivering finished hits is far harder. In Hollywood, many announced films never reach production. Another rumored revenue path is publishing. Memoirs from prominent figures often command enormous advances, especially if they promise revealing insights. But such projects can carry long-term consequences, particularly when they involve family disputes. Short-term financial gain may come at the cost of permanent relationship damage. Financial speculation also fuels media narratives. Stories about desperation or declining fortunes generate clicks regardless of accuracy. The public rarely sees full financial details, leaving room for exaggeration on both sides, supporters claiming stability, critics predicting collapse. Media strategy adds another layer of complexity. Public figures who criticize intrusive coverage while still appearing in staged or cooperative photo opportunities invite accusations of hypocrisy. Yet, clarifying the difference between harassment and controlled publicity is difficult in practice. Celebrities often want visibility on their terms, positive exposure without loss of privacy. A curious example often cited involves restaurant outings photographed by professional agencies. When pictures surface at exactly the right moment to keep a celebrity in headlines, observers wonder whether the appearance was spontaneous or orchestrated. In places like Beverly Hills, paparazzi presence is normal, making such speculation inevitable. By contrast, quieter communities like Montecito are known for discretion. Wealthy residents value privacy, and local establishments typically discourage media attention. Choosing where to appear publicly therefore sends signals about whether a couple seeks visibility or seclusion at a given moment. These dynamics mirror a larger paradox. Modern celebrities often need publicity to maintain relevance, while simultaneously criticizing the attention that comes with fame. Navigating that contradiction requires careful messaging, and even then, skepticism remains. Legal battles also influence perception. Lawsuits against media organizations can frame a public figure as defending privacy in principle, but they can also prolong negative coverage by keeping disputes in the headlines. The financial cost of prolonged litigation adds another burden. Ultimately, the key issue is trust. Audiences decide not only whether to watch content, but whether they feel positively toward the people behind it. Trust is cumulative and fragile. It can be strengthened by consistency and weakened by contradictions. Institutions like Buckingham Palace have centuries of experience managing scandals through controlled messaging and patience. Private companies operate differently. They answer to shareholders and market forces, not tradition. If a partnership stops producing results, it can end abruptly with little ceremony. That reality shapes the stakes for upcoming projects. A successful release could reset the narrative, proving that creative output, not controversy, defines the future. Failure could accelerate disengagement from partners seeking more profitable ventures. In the end, no public relations strategy can substitute for audience enthusiasm. Viewers are not obligated to watch, support, or forgive. They respond to what resonates emotionally, not what executives hope will succeed. The broader lesson extends beyond one individual. In the digital age, reputation is not managed solely by professionals. It is negotiated continuously with the public. Authenticity, whether genuine or perceived, matters more than ever. When audiences sense a gap between image and reality, they disengage, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly. Whether future projects restore goodwill or reinforce skepticism remains uncertain. What is clear is that celebrity influence today depends less on status and more on sustained connection with viewers. Without that connection, even the most powerful partnerships struggle to deliver results. And as long as interest persists, positive or negative, the story will continue to evolve.